Okay, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1.
The thinking atheist. It's not a person. It's a symbol. An idea.
The population of atheists in this country is going through the roof.
Rejecting faith. Pursuing knowledge. Challenging the sacred.
If I tell the truth, it's because I tell the truth. Not because I put my hand on a book and made a wish.
And working together for a more rational world.
Take the risk of thinking for yourself. Much more happiness, truth, beauty, and wisdom will come to you that way.
Assume nothing. Question everything. And start thinking. This is the Thinking Atheist Podcast. Hosted by Seth Andrews.
So anytime I see Forrest Valkai and Erika hosted the Gutsick Gibbon channel together in the same physical space, I have to put microphones on them and we have to talk, which is why I do this about every 10 minutes on my channel. And this was the case just recently at the BajaCon event, the Blue Water Atheist Humanist Conference in Sarnia, Ontario. So Erika had presented that morning. She did her thing on human evolution, which was amazing. And then we were there early afternoon. Forrest Valkai was up at 4, and then I was following Forrest right after that at 5 o'clock. So we had some time to kill, and I said, hey, let's talk for a bit and just roll and see what happens. So we went up to my suite. I didn't take him to my hotel room. We had a suite with a living space. We all kind of hung out on the couches and chairs, and we just started talking. Now, one of the prompts for this was that a presentation earlier in the day was getting into AI. And I just wanted to get their take on it because there are AI religions that are popping up all around the world. We knew that was going to happen. There are people who are falling in love with AI chatbots. So instead of having human intimacy, they are now dating their ChatGPT companion, which has a name and an avatar. And what's that look like in this strange new world? And is it healthy? Is it terrifying? Is it dysfunctional? I wanted to find out about that. And then I wanted to get into how AI is affecting education and how do we know what's true in this perhaps post-truth culture. So that was the catalyst for the conversation, but we weren't going to stick to that. We just went all over the place. The chat runs about 45 minutes. I hope you enjoy. Here we go. Okay, so I'm at a convention. I've got Erika, I've got Forrest. I've got one word I want to start with. What the hell is monad? Monad?
Monad, yeah.
Monad.
Wait, what's monad?
That was more than one word, all that, by the way. There was a whole ass question in there. I don't know what you...
No, what is monad? And my listeners who haven't been watching The Line, is this where this originated?
Monad? Yeah. Well, clearly it originated eons ago. In the most brilliant minds that humankind has ever produced, and happened to never write down in succinct ways, but only in poetic, strange ways.
I need a setup for us. Someone called the show.
Yeah.
And said what?
Monad.
Said there is a god?
No. What they said was, how will the host, I'm paraphrasing here, but they said, how are the hosts going to deal with the monad? Like, how will we cope with it? And, we're taking this call in. It was a call that we took at the last minute. We were aiming for a shorter show of only about 6 hours.
I'm sorry. Did you just say shorter show?
Yeah.
In relation?
We're trying to keep things.
Still mad.
We were trying to keep things concise, but Arden twisted our arm, and we were like, I guess we'll have to take one more call. So we decided.
I'm still mad at her, by the way, because if we had taken one more call, we would have beaten our previous record of 8.5 hours.
And it would have been really
And we
easy.
ended at 8 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it would have been really
easy. 8 hours is a telethon, a show.
It was
a show.
Awesome
it
show.
was a show for sure.
Okay.
But the call-in says, how do hosts deal with this? And this is a theist call. So I'm thinking to myself, this is a Catholic thing and I don't know what it is. But Forrest probably knows. At first, the call opens and Forrest is like, what the hell is monad? And I was like, oh, thank God, because I also don't know what monad is. And then we had an hour and probably 30, maybe 45-minute long conversation, and we did not get a definition for monad until maybe the last 30 minutes. And even then...
And it was worse than when we didn't know what it was.
Yeah, it made things worse because it made them stupider.
Yes.
It made the whole thing... And you said at the beginning, you were like, you said, what is monad in a few words? And it's like, well, monad, because it is everything and also nothing and also one and also infinity and also zero... I kind of think you can just... He did use one word.
Yeah,
it is that all of existence is monad.
Yeah, exactly. It was that, and then also it was electromagnetic radiation, which is also the same thing as energy, which is also the same thing as your mind, and you can't separate your mind from the rest of the universe intellectually, and therefore you can't separate the rest of the universe from light, and therefore everything is something is monad, and just for like 90 minutes we're just beating our heads against a wall trying to understand this stupid word.
I posted a photo from Erika's speech this morning at BajaCon, which was remarkable. And immediately in the comments section, someone wanted to honor her monad or whatever. And I'm like, I need help with this. Is that a typical call for the line? I mean, I co-host there, you co-host there.
I've had a lot of weird calls on the line.
People dial in and they have... We prioritized on the Sunday show. How about Skep Talk? Is that theist callers?
Yeah,
mostly?
all of it is. Yeah, Skep Talk is more supposed to be like you have at least one expert in an area that's taking calls about that specific thing, but it always defaults to theist calls because that's who watches our shows, trying to find a way to get us. You know what I mean?
And the thumbnails are always prove God, help us understand God. Why should we believe in God? Why are we wrong for not believing in God? And people will call and defend God, and the defenses are sometimes just a ramen noodle soup of what the hell, right?
It's that, and it's also just like it's somebody's first rodeo half the time where they call in and they think that they're going to get you with like a baby's first, argument for God that they heard on Creation Today or from, a TikTok short or whatever, Redeem Zoomer or someone like that. And it's like, we've been doing that. I don't even know if I can say that I've been doing this for a long time. It feels like a monad of time that I've been working on this a long, long time. But it's been a long time since I've heard something that like totally was brand new. But I have to say, the monad call was new to me.
It was a new thing, and it's funny. There have been a couple of times like that where it's like, okay, this is actually a new argument, and I haven't heard a new argument in months. And you know what? I fucking wish I hadn't. I wish you didn't call in.
I want to start substituting it for other terms. Like I just want to like throw it into a sentence, whatever I'm talking about.
I've been doing it since the call. I've been doing it in my house. I've been doing it online.
I'm getting tons of comments like, "How the monad are you today?" And like, "Praise monad." I get to see your video, and like just also. And that dude is still arguing on my Instagram. By the way, he is still in my comment section arguing. To this morning, I saw him in there. Still arguing.
I don't know if Jimmy has seen that clip yet, but there is no way that there's not going to be some capitalization, probably merch-wise, on the monad thing,
absolutely.
Which is going to infuriate this person.
If he doesn't
that
do
we're
it, I'm
making dozens and dozens of dollars off of
you will make
the monad.
Tens of dollars from my concept.
Tens of dollars.
I brought you the concept of the monad,
right?
And you have now what? You have now created an idol.
I need to pay this guy stupid royalties, and I don't know how to do that.
All right, so I'm going to do a subject change because we were talking about this right before I hit record. We were talking about Drew McCoy had just given a presentation about AI in relation to religion, which is wacky. As people, first of all, he was talking about people using ChatGPT as a kind of a life partner, even a romantic partner. So you type in things, it gives you answers that sound really human and speak to whatever, I don't know, it's picking you up as you type in, right? It's bouncing back reflections of your personality, but it feels sometimes like a human interaction. And then it becomes the movie Her, where your life partner is now AI or is it LLM, whatever he called it. And I think to myself, are we now entering that age where people are leaving their spouses and running away with a laptop?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, like Flip, dude, it sounds funny, but people are already leaving reality and running away with their laptop. And like we see that a lot. There's a ton of like, so it's tricky because like on the one hand, there's all this information coming out about how it just freaking rots your brain. You are sacrificing your critical faculty, your imaginative faculty, like all these parts of you, in order to let a machine do thinking for you. There's some really worrying graphs, usage charts of ChatGPT that shows it peaks during weekdays and drops off on the weekends. Wonder why that would be. And then the second school lets out, it just plummets. And so this is what people are using to use their homework, to do all their fact checking, to do their thinking for them. I can tell you several times I've gotten in arguments online with somebody and they'll say, I asked ChatGPT and it said I'm right. And that was their source. And so there's this worrying statistics about that. But on the other hand of that, it's also a burgeoning technology that isn't going away. And literally every argument that's been made about it was also made about books. That is going to ruin people's minds, and they're never going to be thinking for them. Or the internet, exactly. Books, the internet, writing in general. It was just, these are things that are going to ruin people's minds. And these kids have their brain in a fucking book every day, and they don't think for themselves.
I mean, I didn't open a book, and the book was, I don't know. First of all, much of this is plagiarism software. Is it not?
Yes, it's plagiarizing racism.
Okay.
A lot of it's also just wrong as well. Like, the more esoteric the subject, the worse the results tend to be. Like I can sit there and ask it, for instance, when I was putting my slideshow together for my talk today, I was Googling some pictures of like different hominins, different fossils, whatever, for getting images, but as we all know, when you search, Google puts the AI result at the very top. And it's spewing information about this stuff that you teach in an introductory bioanth class, which is offered at the very basic freshman level at many large universities. And it's just outright incorrect information, right? Like, I'm not sure, there's the brain rot aspect of it, and then there's also it's not even correct as a replacement. It's not even mining wholly correct information. In the first place.
But it's easy.
But it's easy, yeah. And there's hazards there. It's funny, we run, when I TA'd last semester, we would run exams through ChatGPT after they were created to see what kind of answers ChatGPT could get so we know what to flag. But there's a whole other side of the coin to this where I'm sure it always comes back to this, but there's a capitalistic incentive for universities, in a sense, to let AI run wild, because then they buy companies that are specifically ChatGPT checkers, and then you're only, by FERPA rulings, you're only allowed to run students' assignments through certain AI checkers, right? Like you can't use external sources, and they're paying God knows how much money to license that software for the entirety of the university. And now there's a wonderful, horrible feedback loop, an arms race, really is what I would call it, between the AI and the AI checking, and how students use that. And so, to derail this in the direction that I wanted it to go in the first place, I don't know what we're going to do education-wise, because you were just talking about how ChatGPT usage plummets right when school gets out. I suspect we're going to have to go back to oral presentations and pen and paper, and that's going to have to be all that's allowed.
I did wonder if we would end up moving into communities. Like, it's almost like those dystopian future sci-fi books and films where you have those who are like enslaved to technology, and then the wholeness, natural, we love sun and light and water and the elements group, they're all wearing beige and earth tones, and they go off and live in a forest.
I feel like it's the exact opposite. I feel like the Eloi are these people who just live in this happy wonderland where everything's fine and normal, and we Morlocks are down here in the lab trying to tell them how horrible the world is and how scary everything is and how they need to believe in vaccines, please. It just sucks. And like, that's with ChatGPT, I try to remain optimistic about it. I really do, because like I say, it could be really helpful. It really could. As of right now, it's hugely environmentally destructive, systemically racist, very stupid, wrong all the time. And I think about it the same way, like when Google first came out. You mentioned the Google AI. When Google first came out, all the boomers reminded us that anybody can post anything on the internet, and that you can't, if you Google something, yes, it's easy, you're getting results faster, but it's nothing compared to going to the library and getting a book that's edited by an expert.
Wikipedia is not a source.
Exactly. And now look where we are, And so I have this optimism where it could be better than it is. And then I also work on the internet for a living, and I see how people actually use it, and it makes me want to die.
Speaking to how it can be wrong, I was reading an article, I forget where it was, about how, AI brings this information, it is now 80% correct, 80% accurate. someone uses it as a source and it is posted, and then a future AI search plagiarizes from that, and it then dilutes it further. So now you've got something that's a source of a source that is 71% accurate, and before you know it, how do we know what's real? And that makes my brain explode. How do we know what's real if everything can look like everything?
I think when it comes to AI, AI is a tool. And if it's treated like a tool, it can be really wonderful for us. Like, it's going to automate so many processes, especially in like genomics and biomedicine, if a single dollar ends up remaining in that pot to spend on grants or projects. But assuming that happens, like, there's wonderful potential here for this as a tool. The problem is it's not being used as a tool, it's being used as a crutch, right? So if you want to find sources, and I've done this before, it's like, you have a question, you type it in, and Google AI will give you an answer that sounds like the answer to your question, and it, quote unquote, provides its sources. And I don't know, maybe 20, 30% of the time, you can go check that source, and it's not saying what ChatGPT is saying it's saying, but sometimes it is, and in those cases it becomes useful. Because then it's like, oh, okay, like I didn't have to comb through a million hyper-specific papers or blog posts, this at least pointed me in the right general direction, and that can be a good thing. But then other times it hallucinates, and it'll tell you that someone says something over and over and over again, and you're like, I don't understand, where are you getting this quote from? And then eventually it's like, well, I actually don't think that person said that. Like, you can go back and forth with ChatGPT on this kind of thing, but at the same time, the technology is only going to get better. So I think what you're going to have to do is divorce education and critical thinking and teaching people how to do that in sort of primary learning environments from this technology, and only allow it to come after those skills have been developed. I just don't see that ever happening.
That is impossible,
Yeah.
And like, that's what's crazy is, even like, so in grad school, they had us use ChatGPT and Notebook LM quite a bit to fact check our shit. Like, don't have ChatGPT write your essay, but plug your essay into ChatGPT and have it proofread it and say, what are some good arguments against what I said here? So that now you can think about those things and make your essay better. Plug it in there and ask, is this clear and concise and well written, at least, whatever. And then Notebook LM is great because you should do your primary literature review and then plug those papers in Notebook LM, have it scan all those papers and say, am I right to think this? And I would say, yeah, well, this paper says this and this paper says this, so here's some things. And then you can do the follow-up. The critical problem is when you just say, what do I need to think? Tell me what to think about this. Is this right? Is this what I should believe? Have it just, that's your first step. If ChatGPT and Notebook LM are your first step, you fucked up, because it has a proven track record of saying what it thinks you want to hear, not what it thinks is right, telling you that all your stupidest ideas are the best ideas in the entire world, and it's really extraordinary and compelling. You should really be in movies and write a book about it. Oh my God, it's an incredible contribution to humanity. And just like Erika was pointing out, making shit up. And when you believe the dumb shit that it says, not only about reality, but about you become the health secretary and you publish a fucking report that's full of citations that don't exist and is clearly written by AI in order to tell people that the best doctors and scientists in the world are all wrong. And if you just have a worm eat half your brain, you'll understand some things. And if you don't know how to read a scientific paper, you can work for a president who doesn't know how to read anything, and then you can change the world. It drives me crazy.
There is so much more remaining in my conversation with Forrest and Erika. Let me take a real short break, and I'll be right back. I am doing a Texas speaking run last weekend of this month. So join me for August 29th, 30th, and 31st. I'm going to be Friday night, the 29th, in Austin. Drew McCoy, the genetically modified skeptic channel host, with his partner Taylor, they're going to be there, and that's a tag team event. Friday night in Austin. Saturday, I'm presenting in San Antonio. Sunday morning for Houston Oasis. So it's 3 Texas cities in 3 days. All the details are at the speaking tab on my personal website. Just go to SethAndrews.com. And this is the last half of my chat with science educators, activists, and friends. Forrest Valkai and Erika, host of the Gutsick Gibbon channel. So I've got 2 scientists here. Define your area of expertise quickly. Erika?
I do biological anthropology, so I study human evolution. Is that broad enough?
That's totally fine. And
I guess human biology is the best way you could say it.
give me an example of how AI, or whatever we're calling it, has improved what you do. Like if you're getting into human fossils and whatnot, has it improved the search algorithm to link up different types of fossils? I don't know. Give me an example. Is there anything that strikes you?
You know, so much of paleontology, and I wonder if this is going to map for you as well, like so much of it is relying on your experience and intuition and following your gut and then taking that down an analytical rabbit hole. So it's like in those ways, ChatGPT, at least at present, it's very hard for it to mimic. It's very hard for ChatGPT to look at an aerial overlay of, the Afar region and tell you which area is going to be best likely to support fossilization or something along those lines. So it's not really being used in that aspect. I'm going to give you a way that I do think it is extremely helpful to my field in particular, but also to science in general, which is that it's really good at checking your code. So one thing that people don't understand is that all science involves statistics. Unless you are just describing something like a new species or a new methodology or something like that, there's stats involved. And that sucks. And they don't actually tell you that when you get into science, and then it turns out statistics is like 40% of it. But statistics has to be done in programs like R or MATLAB. And so what you have to do is you have to write code to tell ChatGPT, or to tell ChatGPT. You have to write your code to tell R that, okay, I want to create a linear model and specify all your, data and all that. And it's like, those are very finicky programs. And if you don't have a background in coding, you can spend, I kid you not, like cumulative days fighting with this program, just getting it to run something that is, it is conceptually simple, but it's hard to code it because you're not a coder. And you're really an amateur in that field. So what ChatGPT is really useful for is if I'm trying to run some code and my code isn't working, I can put it in ChatGPT and say, where's the typo? Like what's causing this code to fail? Yeah. And it's useful in that sense that it helps streamline the experiment that I designed, the method that I designed, the hypothesis that I designed, or the methodology that I'm using, right? But it's a glorified scut monkey in that sense, right? Like it's not actually doing any of the work. It's just taking the time that I would previously take to comb for mistakes and streamlining that. And I think I'm biased, of course, but I think that's the ideal way in which AI should be used as a tool by people who do themselves also know what's going on.
A proper research monad.
Monad,
yes, is very good.
Yeah. For me, my second master's is in biomed, and I can't tell you how many talks I sat through of people saying, like, we thought we knew the end of what we knew about this. We plugged all this huge population data in ChatGPT, and it found patterns we humans didn't notice. And now we are running new experiments on this disease spreading in this super niche population, this particular gene that we never would have thought to look at before, because it's able to look at all of this just bonkers loads of data about demographics, about psychographics, about genomics, about epidemiology, about like VAERS data and everything else, and treat every single line of that data as if it's super important and see which one actually is in a way that a human could never do. And it's able to do it in an hour, which would take 1 million humans 1 million years to do. And that is a huge thing. But then, as Erika pointed out at the end, the critical next step is a human who knows what they're doing, then going up and verifying that and following up with it. So like that's a big thing that I see it as a huge opportunity to go back and review the data of generations and come up with new information and new models and new track records and new patterns that we would never have thought to look for. That could advance science so much as long as there are scientists to interpret that at the end.
And instead of TikTok influencers who are falling in love romantically with AI.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And don't forget, they're also using it to commune with the spirits, with the monad, if you will.
No, I mean, there was a video on display earlier this morning of someone who said that AI was not God, but AI now is apparently a funnel or a conduit through which God can now speak. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know, it's what is old is new again, I guess. People have been looking for conduits for spiritual revelation since whenever, and what, this is just the next big shiny thing,
As
maybe?
above, so AI.
Boo.
Oh, God.
Boo.
Oh, God.
It's weird though, right? Because it's like, what did he just wait around twiddling his thumbs? Like Ouija boards came out and he was like, this is good, but I'm going to wait another 50 years until I really get this shit going. And then AI comes out and it's like, finally, I can commune with my people. It's like, I don't know that that's the most efficient way of doing things.
When I was
should have run
growing
that
up,
plan through ChatGPT.
we were terrified of Ouija boards. If someone had tried to bring one into our home, they would have been locked out. We would not have. And of course, now on the other side of the looking glass, I'm like, it's cardboard and ink. I mean,
It is actually literally licensed by Hasbro. It is a Hasbro game.
It's a toy.
It's a children's game, yeah. And that's my favorite thing. There's this great clip. It was on TikTok and whatnot. This guy's doorbell camera. And he's getting DoorDash delivered, and this woman comes in, which has, I swear to God, her shirt just has the word Jesus on it 50 times. Like, it's just Jesus in all different styles and letters. And he has a Ouija board doormat for Halloween. And guess who has a problem with it? And so she's dropping off his McDonald's, and she's like, this is evil, right? And he's like, it's a Hasbro game. And she's like, no, it's a communication with the spirit. He's like, no, it is literally a Hasbro game. I need you to look it up. It is a Hasbro game. That stuff's not real. And he talks to her like she's 5. He's like, no, sweetie, that stuff's not real. That's not real. I'm sorry.
But you've seen the Labubu stuff too, as well.
I've heard
Surely.
the Labubu stuff. I haven't seen so much. I've
Do you
heard
know about Labubu?
no.
It's the biggest monad of the century.
It's the biggest one of the century, dude. So Labubu, I can't believe that I get to explain Labubu to Seth. So Labubu,
the weirdest timeline.
it is like a little plush toy, and it looks like a little like monster baby, kind of. Like, looks like a little baby monster. Basically, some K-pop stars, if memory serves, started like wearing them, like clipping them on their belts or on their designer bags or whatever, and they got really popular here in the West. People are buying Labubus everywhere. And the Labubu sort of, the gamification of Labubu collecting is such that you buy a box and you don't know which Labubu is contained within. So it's another fun way to sell gambling to kids, which is great. I love it. It's so amazing that they're getting inundated with this absolutely everywhere. Back in my day.
It's all the worst parts of like Furby, Beanie Babies, and like Pokemon cards all wrapped into one horrible new trend.
New trend.
You have like adults, and I can't stress enough, this is not a new thing, but it is the thing now, where you have videos of adults like sobbing in their car because they didn't get the pink Labubu. They got another goddamn green Labubu, and they have enough green Labubus, and they're just ripping its head off and screaming at the camera that they need the pink one. And it's like, it is everything that we have seen, every trend over and over and over.
And participated in, arguably, when we were younger. But I mean,
like,
you're like, God, like, you're right. People are like losing their shit because we don't get Glim Glam or something like that.
You gotta
or Bippy.
put that Labubu in your
There is a major religion in this country. It's probably consumerism, isn't it? I mean,
it's excess, right?
That's why cartoons exist these days, mostly just to sell toys in the first place. But Labubu is fun to say.
It is fun. It has
to
that
say.
going for it. Yes.
But the reason I have sort of brought this to your attention, this pressing matter, is because there's a non-zero portion of evangelicals, but I'm sure it extends outside of them, who think that Labubu, much like Harry Potter or Pokemon before it, is actually demonic because it's a little monster baby and it has sharp teeth. And, they do all this stuff where they're like, you're gonna die at this. I saw one the other day that was like, Labubu sounds like Pazuzu.
I saw
who
that
is
one.
himself a demon.
Yes.
And it's like, dude, a lot of stuff sounds like a lot of other funny stuff. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a demon named Pazuzu. I'm not taking you seriously anyway, right? It's just Pazuzu? Wow.
If I ever had like a pet parrot.
No, but I mean, I was growing up and they were playing rock albums backwards and, they were we're pattern seekers, right? So anyone who is looking for something that has a pointy end on it or is somewhat dissonant, or they're going to see agency, probably dark agency everywhere they look. We've evolved to see those patterns. See me set you up, Erika, like
I
that?
know. This is a softball, though.
It really is.
You were like, how can I get this?
How do I bring us back to paleontology, etc.?
Yeah,
So.
I mean, pattern seeking is enormously helpful, whether you're trying to problem solve and figure out where the best place to forage or hunt is, or whether you're trying to figure out how to navigate a social relationship, which I think is something that we appreciate less when it comes to pattern seeking. What's the most important pattern seeking that we do? It's facial recognition. I mean, this is exactly why if you see 2 dots and a line, you see it as a face. It doesn't matter where you see it, it looks like a face.
Like the face on Mars.
Yeah, the face on Mars.
yeah.
I look at that outlet in the corner of the room and it looks like a little guy, you know? I mean, this is
There's a
what we do.
Facebook page. It's called Faces in Things.
Yeah, or like wood grain, or you
Yeah.
know, a funny car, like the way with the headlights and the bumper in the front. I mean, this is what we do, right? Is we pattern seek, and we tend to seek patterns, unfortunately, that confirm things that we want to be true, or things that we already know. And we tend to reject things and actually put the blinders on. Like psychologically, you're less likely to see information or patterns that you don't want to see. I almost said Pazuzu. Labubu. Oh my God, it's true. There really is. There really is a relationship. I admit it. I'm actually a Labubu agent out here. But you know, I mean, you see something scary, and you see something that kids enjoy, and you see something that it could in any shape, form, or fashion act as an idol. And all of a sudden, it's demonic. I mean, they do it with absolutely everything. I don't know why they still think people are taking them seriously, but then again, I know about their beef with it, so obviously it's doing something right.
For the record, everyone in this room is an a-boo-booist. I believe you. You don't believe.
You don't know shit about me.
So I want to come back into the fossils and whatnot. I'm totally taking another turn, but that's what we do. Tell me about the technology used to find that stuff. I know in the movies they're shooting like sonar pings into the ground, and there's a digital readout that says dinosaur skull or human ulna or something. Is that bogus? Do you
want to know what it's really like most of the time?
What's it really like?
It is sweltering, and I'm crawling on my hands and knees up a spiky hillside in the middle of an exposed section of dirt and rocks in a rainforest in western Kenya. I can hear the thunder in the distance. I know it's about to storm. Baboons have stolen my lunch 2 times this week already, and I am looking for rocks that vaguely have the sheen of fossilized enamel on them, amongst millions of other shiny rocks that are just shiny rocks. That's what most of paleontology is. And a lot of it is very frustrating. And a lot of it is the best thing you've ever experienced. The high that you get when you spot a perfect Rangwapithecus molar with the cusps all still intact. It's not even worn. It was clearly from an adult in the prime of its life. And it's from a tooth position that nobody's ever found yet. And I get to find it, and I get to hold it up, and everybody cheers. It's an amazing experience.
I mean, like, what's the strike ratio on something like that? I mean, I know it depends on the region and the depth and blah, 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 but you're out there and you're looking at what? Thousands of tiny stones until, hey, look, a tooth?
For my field work, yes, that's what it is. But my field work is also really unique because of the area that it's in, and for whatever reason, the taphonomic bias, which that just means like the types of preservation that favor big things or small things or jumbled things or articulated things, is like biased towards jumbly, itty-bitty things like teeth or little bits of long bone, which you would think aren't very helpful, but in actuality, that's like micro mammals make up the baseline of the ecosystem. So it's really important stuff. There are other places that I've been where it's a little bit more straightforward, where you actually get to stand instead of crawl. And you're walking and you're looking for exposed shafts of femora or a humerus or something, this, that, or the other thing. And you can see it strikingly once you've got, what did we used to call it? There was a phrase that we used in the field. It's sort of like you have to train your brain like you would an LLM. Look at this. I'm bringing it full circle.
My God.
You pattern seek. Right? So it's funny, you start with this kind of thing, and I went my first probably week and I didn't find a single fossil. And I'm talking about, I go over a spot and the experienced Kenyan fossil collector behind me finds 8 things, right where I just passed over.
Do you have like a little brush like they do in the movies and all that stuff? You're just looking.
I pick with my hands.
Okay.
I mean, people do have brushes, or like this, one of our guys has a screwdriver that he uses to turn stuff over, like the tip
Everybody
of the
has like a
screwdriver.
special tool they
Yeah,
like.
that they like, just
Okay.
that they tend to use. I just like using my fingers. Like I just like to turn rocks over and, see if I can get the dirt off them, and if it's enamel or you can see the spongy bone, and it's nice. That's how I like to do it personally. But once I started finding them, my brain started saying, that's what it looks like. And what's cool is that the fossils are different colors in different places. So we have sites where they're kind of this beautiful pale pink, and others where it's this obsidian, like shiny black color, and then another place still where it's sort of this sulfuric yellow. And your brain starts to be able to be like, okay, I'm at Chimtwara, here's what the fossils look like. And by, the 3rd week, I'm finding fossils, probably not with the best of them, but I was certainly one of the best Western fossil collectors out there. the technology in paleontology is just wonderfully low tech when you're finding the fossils. And then once they're found, now we're talking about taking 1,000 slices in a micro CT scanner of a bone to get the perfect curvature to compare it to the curvature that you see in a chimpanzee thigh bone or femur versus a human. And then it's like, we're doing geometric morphometrics and we're using every statistical test in the book, and it is truly cutting edge. But until that point, it's crawling around in the dirt.
Erika comes back to the stage. She's got bruises and slices all over, calluses, and she's all sunburned and
Were you at the
weather-beaten.
airport? That's what I look like. That's what I look like.
Some of the worst sunburned I've ever gotten was from fossil prospecting and stuff like that. We were out in West Oklahoma last year, and we're way out on the side, like right in the corner of the panhandle on these areas where it's like oil fields and stuff, just massive wide open spaces of nothing. And there will be these hills that are just muddy, gross, awful. And you just kind of look to where the water channels are, where the water's cutting down through the hill. And you just look on the ground right around there and you kind of look, and there's some vaguely white rocks and there's some vaguely white rocks, but that's a particularly interesting white rock. And you turn that and sure, that's a piece of bone. And then you walk up the channel there where the water just kind of scanning around until you find the rest of that little bone fragment sticking out of the ground. And then you start picking away right there, and maybe you get some more bone. Maybe it's just bone mush that's been squished into mud for a few million years and it doesn't matter anymore. And sometimes it's something interesting. You can kind of see a piece of a skull in there. And you come away from there and your back is just like a lobster and your hands are also red, but from the red dirt of Oklahoma, not from, the sun. And you're just miserable and sweaty, but you have a really interesting like shaft of a bone now. That means nothing because it's not the end of a bone. So you can tell it's a mammal, but that's about it. And you go home happy, but not happy enough. And you go back to that area later on to try to find either a bone end or a tooth, because those are the diagnostic things that can really tell you something.
Let me tell you the most fun fossil I ever found. Actually, my favorite fossil I ever found was the Wrangler-Pithegus molar, and I found a couple of Miocene ape teeth, which, since that's what I study, that's what I like. And I have at least 2 canines to my name, which is amazing because I'm hoping to include them in my dissertation, and then I can be like, and I'm citing myself because I found this, which is amazing. Although that's not quite how it works. But there's one time we were I think it was at Legitet 11. So we were at this site in West Kenya where it's where you find, I don't know why I'm looking at you like you're like, oh yes, of course, I love Micropithecus and Limnopithecus, they're my favorite.
I was at Kenya last week.
Yeah. To explain the situation, we were prospecting the site because it was about to be destroyed by the local town for limestone mining, as tends to be the case. So they've got the excavators out there. I mean, it's like the cartoon where you're like chaining yourself to the tree, and like you can hear the excavators in the background getting ready to come and destroy it. So we were doing this last minute search, hoping to find anything to justify telling these people, and it's fair, right? Please don't bulldoze this fossil site, but also this is where they live and they should be able to use the resources around them. So it's like a double-edged sword. So the question was, were we going to find anything? And this is like, I'm very much resonating with the spiky hills because this is like dark, really jagged, like I would say probably 40 feet of like sort of debris like heading up the side of this gigantic cliffs, sort of like a cliff. And there are these hideous nettles growing everywhere. They get in, in your skin, and there's biting ants, and it sucks and it's horrible. And we found nothing all day, and everybody was having a bad time. So I'm standing with one of my friends, and I was like, I want to be like, am I allowed to swear on this?
You swear all you want.
I think I already have a few times.
Yeah, please.
I'm like, fuck this place. I hate it here. And I kick the side of the wall, and there's some of this debris crumbles, and like a movie, I kid you not, I look up and I'm like, what is that? Because I see the shine of the enamel. And I reach and I pull it out, and it's a partial mantle, so partial jawbone, that's about 6 or 7 inches long, full dentition, all the teeth are in place. And it belongs to a member of Bathyrgoides, which is a gigantic naked mole rat species that lived during this time. So imagine a naked mole rat, but the size of it is such that its mandible, half its jaw, is 7 inches long. I mean, we're talking about about a naked mole rat that it's a naked mole rat that is the size of like a Jack Russell Terrier. There you go. And I pulled it out and I was like, what is this? Because we'd found a million of these little horrible rodents called diamantomes, and you find them everywhere, and they suck, and they're not useful at all. And I was like, I know this is a rodent because it's got the incisors in the front, but what kind of rodent is it? And my friend Abby walks over and she was like, holy shit, that is the biggest Bathyrgoides mandible I've ever seen. And I was like, it was the first, like I told you, these sites are biased towards little things, but so it was amazing to find like a beautiful hemimandible. Like it was just was wonderful. It's the best fossil I found.
We were out in that same site in West Oklahoma, and we were out there for days and days and days. And like the last year, we've been pulling up handfuls of bone, like no problem. It's because we were looking for horse and camel fossils, because of course horses and camels evolved in North America. And we're out there digging in the same spot. We have a new group of students coming out with us, and like we're just finding dick over.
I hate that so much.
And like every now and then they're like, "Hey, is this bone?" We're like, "Yeah, that's a piece of bone, and it's just a chunk the size of a quarter that doesn't mean anything."
Yep.
So I'd throw it on the ground. You can keep it as a souvenir if you want. It doesn't mean anything. No one's going to look for it. And we're just kind of digging around. And like on one of the last days we're there, this one person who wasn't even a paleontology person, wasn't even a biology person. She was an English student who just came along for the vibes and just wanted to kind of hang out and see what that was all about. And she comes down the mountain and is like, "What's this?" And she's got this chunk of rock that's about twice the size of her hand. It's a fucking gomphothere tooth.
Amazing.
She found a gomphothere is it's a proboscidean. Imagine an elephant, and you'll have the idea. It's a fucking elephant relative.
They're huge.
From the goddamn Miocene that evolved in Africa, then spread all around Eurasia, and then moved its way to North America. And so there's this massive Oklahoman elephant that has never been described in this region, and now her name is going to be all over this paper. We sat there for the rest of the day while all the paleontologists who were there supervising were like, "Hey, everybody, fuck off. We're going to be here digging. We're going to pick the rest of this thing up." It's like this.
I'm still stuck on camel and elephant and Oklahoma in the same story.
Well, and horses too, because you think about horses already as something in Oklahoma, but the horses that are in Oklahoma now are not Oklahoman horses. They're European horses that were brought here. Yeah, and they are largely feral, which is incredibly sad. And so like you have horses and camels evolving here, elephants migrating, or elephant-like things migrating here. And go back to the Eocene all the way into even the Pleistocene. This is a completely different landscape, completely different fauna crawling around this area, and we murdered them. and then the Holocene starts, the climate changes massively, the last of them die off, and all that you have left is some of us. And nobody remembers the time when we were going up against terror birds and giant wombats and huge armadillo-like creatures and all sorts of the short-faced bear, all the other incredible megafauna that were all over this continent.
My imagination is now loaded with images of these amazing / horrifying type things.
They're so cool.
Wow.
They're so cool.
I'm going to type that into ChatGPT and have it generate an image.
Yes, please explain to me.
It'll be accurate.
Which will be wrong.
Yeah.
And then it will become a reference point for somebody's college paper, and then it will go on Wikipedia.
Tell me the truth about all these ancient creatures. I must consult the monad, and it will tell me everything I need to know.
That must bring us full circle, because Forrest is on stage giving a presentation about what today? What are you talking about?
About biology in general, just how fucking cool biology is.
So essentially, your work. This is what you do.
Yeah,
all the time.
I study biology too much, and then I regurgitate it in front of strangers. That's my job.
Erika knocked it out of the park this morning. I'm sure you will as well. I'm going to let Forrest run down, do a tech check before he speaks at 4 o'clock. Any final thoughts? Do you have any hope about this sort of mix of humanity, nature, technology, or whatnot?
Let me leave you with this, right? The creationists, Answers in Genesis, has their own AI that is a safe AI for creationists to use.
That's exceedingly funny. I did not know that.
They do.
You know what?
They do.
It sounds like those internet filters where they're like, we're going to go filter out anything that bothers us. Mm-hmm.
Almost like
call
a
it
safe space.
Safe internet.
Yeah, it's a safe space for them.
So what do you mean? Like if I typed in something that contradicts the Bible, their AI will return a deal that...
If you said to their AI, if you were like, when did dinosaurs go extinct? It would say 4,400 years ago, approximately, when the global flood wiped most of them off the planet, and then those that were taken on Noah's Ark did not survive the repopulation. Why Paraceratherium did and sauropods didn't, we don't know. It won't say that part, but it should.
Were you there? So
you were there to know, but also this fucking Bronze Age sex manual is there to know, and so what are we going to say? And dude, I just did a video about them, and like their dragon shit has only gotten crazier.
How is that possible? It was already absolutely batty.
Wait. Dragons in the Bible?
Yes,
Dragons
and everywhere else.
Yes,
everywhere else.
Yeah, so they believe that dinosaur and dragon are synonymous terms, and that after the flood, there were still some dinosaurs left, and those were dragons, and that all the dragon slaying stories, knights in shining armor, those are all true. People slaying dragons. And also, unlike every other dinosaur, they could fly and breathe fire. But, fuck you for asking questions.
Yeah.
And every single example of any story anywhere in the world that mentions the word dragon is absolutely credible and real. And therefore, it was a dinosaur that was around at that time. And the one that I was looking at it's actually the most viewed YouTube short from Answers in Genesis.
Answers in Genesis Canada or regular?
No, the regular one.
Okay.
And it's just this guy talking about all these dragon stories around the world. And he starts with St. George, who is this Christian.
Isn't it a baryonyx?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's that one. And it's St. George killed this dragon back in 300 AD, and that means it must have been a real dragon. And there's this dinosaur called Baryonyx, which is this massive Spinosaur-looking motherfucker that lived in southern England. And so clearly, this Englishman that killed the dragon was this. Never mind that the story takes place in fucking Libya. And so they just literally they were like, here is English Christian.
I didn't know that it took place in Libya. That's so funny.
And it's like, here's this. It's a Christian English story, so we need a Christian dinosaur to fill in the gap. And they didn't even bother to read the goddamn story.
Yeah.
And it's just it is an absolute nightmare.
I have to stop there, and I hate that. I could talk for another 8 hours and 15 minutes about dragons, but I'm going to let you grab your laptop and do your thing.
Yeah.
Erika, Forrest, I'm going to put links to your channels in the description box. So good to hang. Thanks for chatting with me.
You got it.
Thank you for having us here in your hotel room. It wasn't creepy at all.
I'm so glad that Forrest has to go give his presentation now, and I'm done, and he's not done, and you have to go give your time.
Oh shit! I got to follow.
I'm going to be so relaxed.
I have to follow him.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm like,
mine's going to be so
he uses
stupid.
music, and he's out there emoting.
Brother,
It ends.
when Forrest, when you texted and said that you had songs, I was like, oh no, I have not done a good enough job for my time.
He did Sagan. When I went up after him last time, he's quoting, he's doing the pale blue dot.
I did that speech at the Secular Student Alliance conference, and fucking Sasha Sagan was there in the audience and listened to it.
Oh my God.
And I was she liked it, and she was very cool, and she came up and talked to me afterwards. I was so mortified. I was like, hey, I just quoted your dad to you. I'm sure that's not weird.
Yeah.
No, but you're going to kill it. Thanks to both of you. Let's do it again, okay?
Yeah.
Follow The Thinking Atheist on Facebook and Twitter for a complete archive of podcasts and videos, products like mugs and t-shirts featuring the Thinking Atheist logo, links to atheist pages and resources, and details on upcoming free thought events and conventions. Log on to our website, thethinkingatheist.com.